Today we are working on a 2007 Chevrolet Tahoe, and this is a 5.3 liter LS, and we are doing the rear brake and rotor on this guy. We did the front wheel last week, and if you guys haven't seen that video, if you're doing the front wheel, rotors and brakes, I'll put a card right here for you guys to check out so you guys know how to do all four corners. Okay, you're gonna need a 13 millimeter to take off this caliper bolt. And you have one on the top and obviously one on the bottom. So this 13 millimeter bolt is connected to your slider pin right here. So oftentimes this slider pin will turn as you take this bolt out. So if that's the case, you're gonna need a 20 millimeter to kind of hold that bolt right here so you can take this nut off. Okay, so in my case it didn't do that. Okay, now with those two bolts out, you can slide this brake caliper off, and you want to get your hanger ready so you can put this caliper aside. Okay, so just if you have a bungee cord or a hook, just put this off to the side and make sure you're not kinking the brake line. Alright, now for this one, you're going to need an 18 millimeter to get the two bolts off in the back. Now these are poked down to 147 foot-pounds, so you might need a breaker bar. So these bolts can be a little rusty or corroded, so make sure you guys clean this off before you're reinstalling it. So they were complaining about a lot of brake noise, and check this out. This thing is all the way down to the metal. I don't know if you guys can see that. This thing is 0 pads left, metal to metal, and you're going to get a lot of wear and tear not only on the rotor but also extremely dangerous. And this one has some pads left, but you can see how they're worn very unevenly. Okay, and most likely the cause of this is two things. One, your slider piston, your pins are probably not working properly, so I'm going to show you guys how to service this correctly. And also this rotor that's on the hub itself is probably corroded and not sitting correctly as well. So that could also cause uneven brake wear, but also uneven wear on your rotors. So when you guys see this situation, you got to make sure you service your brakes thoroughly, including these slide pins. Super important. And the rotor should come right off. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of rust in here. I mean, it's not horrible, but this rust here can make not sit on here properly, and just, you know, a couple of thousandths of an inch off can make a big difference in how your brake wears. So we're gonna go ahead and clean all this up, clean this whole thing up in just a few minutes. The next step here, we're going to be cleaning out or servicing the slider pin on your caliper bracket, and this is probably the most important piece of your doing a brake job. Okay, this is completely dry, but there's a lot of gunk in here, So we gotta get all that out. Now, what I like to do is when I come across a dry, you can see there's grease in here from a lot of dirt getting here, and the grease just dries up. What I like to do is come in here and just spray some parts cleaner and just let it soak in there for a little bit. Let it soak in all its glory. Okay, and then go ahead and take your slider pen while there's fluid in there and just move it back and forth like this. Move it back and forth, get all that gunk worked out, and try and free that up. Okay, then take a flat screwdriver, stick it in here, work it around. Look at all that. Look at that. It's like mud pie on the screwdriver. Awful. Okay, come back in here, work it around. You want to get all that parts cleaning out of your cylinder, so I got an air gun here. Okay, now you're going to need to grease up your slider pen, and what you want to use is the automotive, made specifically for brake system, because there's could be a lot of heat in this area, so you don't want a silicone that's going to break down really quick. You want a high temperature silicone paste, and you don't need a whole lot on here. Now when you're slapping your paste on here, you want to make sure you get rid of any silicone at the very tip, because as you slide your pen back into your piston here, you don't want an air pocket. Otherwise, this thing's going to keep popping out on you. Okay, and just twist it, work it back and forth, and it should feel pretty smooth. Okay, and then you want to do the exact same thing on this side. This is all caked on this bolt. Oops. Okay, and then we're going to come in here and we got to compress this cylinder all the way back so that we can get our new brake to fit this over our new brake pads. I got this really cool little contraption right here that helps me compress the cylinder back. Okay, just like the hub right here, you want to make sure you clean your calipers as well. Alright, you guys, so for this next part, you want to grab yourself a fresh pair of gloves, because now we're going to put on all of our new rotor and our brake pads, and you don't want to get all that grease right back on the rotor or the pads. So next you got to do is take a cloth and get all the oil off the rotor, because the manufacturer, they spray a little oil on here to keep it from rusting while it's in transit. Okay, there's not much, but there's a little bit, so that's going to help you guys out. This would be a good time to come in here and adjust your parking brake right here, but the parking brake feels good, so I'm not going to mess with that. If you need to adjust it, there's a little star wheel right here. You just take a screwdriver and just turn it one way or the other, and you'll see this piston expanding. So that's how you adjust that. There's also a hole here in the rotor you can adjust the parking brake as well. Okay. And then what I like to do is put two bolts on, one on the bottom, one on the top, while I install the caliper. It keeps the rotor in place so it's not wobbling around. Alright guys, so first thing we're going to do is install your caliper bracket, and it goes in like this. It goes in only pretty much one way. Alright, and then what I like to use is this red thread locker on my bolts. So just put a little bit on here. On both the top and the bottom bolts. Alright guys, so this will get torqued down to 147 foot-pounds. Alright, so again, one of the most important thing here is number one, service your slider pins here, and also clean these grooves super good with the wire wheel, because you want this clips to sit on here perfectly, and you shouldn't have to force it in there. It should just slide in there nice and easy. Okay, there you go. Again, like these tolerances on here is super tight, so any grime you can get out, the better. Some brake pads come with these protective plastic sticker right here. So you want to make sure you just peel that off. Okay, otherwise it's going to get melted inside your calipers. And then it slides in just like that. Alright, so just like that, very simple. Alright, so the final step here now is slide on our calipers, and these things should just slide right on very easily. Okay, yep, just like that. We're going to go ahead and once again use our red thread lock. Okay, so this is where you're going to see some spinning on your piston bolt, your slider pin bolt right here. So you may want to get yourself a 20 millimeter. Okay, nice and snug. And then we're going to torque this one down to 74 foot-pounds. Hopefully it's going to fit in here. Alright, so that's all there is to it, and then just take a air gun. Alright guys, so that's really all there's to it. It's pretty straightforward, but like I was saying earlier, the most important thing is you guys get this thing cleaned up really good after you're taking the calipers off. Get the little grooves cleaned up really good with the wire wheel, and service that piston. I call it slider pins on the caliper bracket, so that's really critical. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave it down below. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video. Alright guys, so before you guys call it a day, you want to make sure you pump the brake pedal. I turn the car on, pump it for a few times, because once you guys take the calipers, compress the calipers, you're going to have a gap between the brake pad and the rotor. So it's really important to make sure you guys pump that brake before you guys drive off. Okay, and number two, make sure you guys re-torque your wheel lug nuts after you take it for a quick test drive, come back and just recheck it, retorque it.